Separation of shirt pattern parts. This unit deals with extracting all pattern parts of shirts using the technique of tracing and duplication by providing appropriate seam and fold allowances. The separated patterns will have a description of each part, such as name of the part, grain line, notch marks, number of parts to be cut and the size of the garment. By the end of this unit, students will be able to derive various parts of shirt patterns drafted in this method, select appropriate seam finish, apply appropriate seam allowances, and provide notch marks according to the fold and seam allowance. The seam allowance can be decided based on seam finishes. Normally, for shirt, overlock or flat fell seams are used. Please refer text part for more details. Now let us move to transfer the draft of collar to cut patterns. In the draft, the parts have shown are without seam allowance. In the separation part, we need to add seam allowance based on the finishes which I have already mentioned. The seam allowance can be decided based on the finishes as informed earlier. Normally we have practice of providing two types of patterns. The pattern 1 will be ready patterns. In local terms it called ready pattern, otherwise it's a template. Templates will help you to use as a guide while sewing the garment. In shirt there will be templates of collar, collar band, pocket, cuff and sleeve plackets. The first step, let us move to make templates, and later on we add seam allowance to have cut patterns. The templates of collar. We have a drafted collar which has no seam allowance. Now this will be traced on the paper which is used for converting to patterns. This is the paper used to make patterns, which is thicker than the normal white paper. This paper weighs 160 to 230 GSM, which will help you to store for future references. The normal tracing paper placed between the cut patterns. straight lines can be traced with the ruler, small ruler. Then curve lines can be used with the tracing wheel. Just move on the curve line by pressing gently. Do as slow as possible. The trace should be accurate and clean. Remove and keep it aside. The traced line may not be clear, but it's visible when you see with the naked eye. Now this to be cut using paper scissor. The cutting should be inside the line, not either on the line or outside the line. Cut as slow as possible. Now this is the cut pattern which need to be added seam allowance. This is also called a template. See, when you turn this look like one side of the collar. It will be like this. Other side will continue when you symmetrize the pattern with full. In this pattern you need to mention the part name which will help you to identify. This will be collar ready or collar template. Collar template. Now let us move to produce cut pattern. Take another piece of brown paper, fold this into half and crease this thoroughly. Crease thoroughly. Then place the template on the fold part. Align on the fold carefully. Then trace the template. Once you trace, once you trace, you will get this. Then start adding seam allowance. Seam allowance can be added with the grading ruler which is available in the market. Normally, collar seam allowance can be added up to 1 centimeter. Just run the lines on the line traced. After adding seam allowance, the pattern will look like this. Then start cutting. If you need to pin it, you can pin it with the stapler. After adding seam allowance, you can pin it because it's a two layer. If you pin, it will be secured. So after pinning, once adding seam allowance is complete, then you need to just cut the outlines, leaving some spaces. Then you can pin it so that it won't slip. It won't slip because it's on full two layers. It should not be slipped, or there shouldn't be any difference between both the layers. So once you pin, then start cutting. This now the cut pattern. Then erased any lines left out. Add the grain line which indicates the direction of the pattern to be laid on the fabric. See, this green line indicates how to lay the pattern on the fabric, and write part name, collar, and how many part to be cut is to be mentioned. We normally indicate cut 2, cut 1 or cut pair, cut single. Collar into 2, that means cut 2. Then size of the pattern or garment is 38 or size M in numerical nomenclature. Collar, cut 2, collar, cut 2. Then to see, remove the pen and you can see the complete pattern. It's a cut pattern. This to be laid on the fabric, traced, then cut. See, since it is a cut pattern, you can avoid unnecessary excess that will help you to reduce your fabric consumption. After collar cut pattern been made, now we are moving to make collar band, template, that's a ready pattern, and cut pattern. The draft looks like this. When you trace to other sheet, looks like this. This will be the cut portion, traced portion. Now I am going to trace the pattern which is a final draft on the brown paper. Place on the brown sheet. Then place the tracing paper in between. Yeah. Now pick up a brown piece of paper because it's a small part. Then place the tracing wheel. Then place the traced portion, that's a collar band. Ensure it's laid on the brown sheet. Then start tracing. It's important to transfer the notch mark. Need to move as slow as possible, or you can practice before finalizing. see it slipped, so I'm redoing it. That's what real. Yeah, traced. Now need to be cut. Cut. When you cut, small distances, use the front portion of the scissor. That helps you to turn easily, especially the deep curves or sharp curves. As I told you earlier, need to be cut inside the trace mark. Since it is a template pattern, accuracy is to be maintained. It's advisable resting the paper on the table and cut, not picking up and cutting the part. This is a template pattern of collar band. The collar will be normally attached here. The collar band, when you place the collar, this collar will be placed exactly here on the curve. This will look like collar and collar band. Now, placing the buttonhole on the collar band, mark the center of this center front line and move 1/8 out from this line. This line actually aligns to the center front of the front part. So mark the center and from the line move 1/8 out. Then give a small cross mark. Then after, take a right angle to the center front line. You can use set square or squares, any squares, small squares to indicate the buttonhole mark. Here you can mention the buttonhole length that can be based on the button size. Yeah, this is the collar band. Now I'm just moving the collar from the center front line along the curve lines. If there is any difference, yes, we can eliminate that. See, there is a difference which should be marked and cut, which can be marked and cut. The method is also, I told in the beginning itself, it's trial and error method, may not be 100% perfect in the matching parts, which can be corrected after checking each part. That's advisable to get the accurate pattern. Now I'll chop out this. Again I'll check this with the mark I have marked. See this to be marked here, then see here it's matching. Perfect. So collar will look like this. Now moving to produce a cut pattern of collar band. Take paper again and fold it thoroughly. It's advisable, since it's two layer, as I told you, you can pin it so that it won't slip. Then place this and align on the fold line. Aligning should be perfect. Then trace with the pencil. You can also trace the center front line and notch mark. And draw a line just for the reference for the cutter who is going to cut the garment parts. This will look like this. Now add seam allowance using the ruler, again 1 centimeter all around. Just I'm moving the line on the curve traced on the paper. Or there are grade or suitable rulers available which gives 1 centimeter, 8 mm, 1.5 centimeter marking to add the seam allowance. Once you add the seam allowance, then cut. This will be cut pattern of collar band. Cut pattern of collar. Collar and collar band. When you remove this, it will be full. Now let us move to sleeve placket template. Sleeve placket cut pattern, sleeve placket drafted. Now this to be transferred to brown paper and produce cut patterns. We have other techniques also to produce cut patterns without using the tracing paper. Beginners can use tracing paper so that it will be ensure it's placed exactly on the brown sheet and trace the lines on the brown sheet. Yeah, it's a traced sleeve placket. Now cut. Sleeve placket template. Sleeve placket template, or you can mention ready. Now this to be transferred to cut pattern. Sleeve placket template. Template indicates no seam allowance. Now I am going to transfer this template to cut patterns by tracing on another sheet. Take sufficient paper and trace allowing seam allowance. And trace once again adjacent to or aligning to the adjacent line, or paper can be taken on fold too. See, the second trace should be till here, then remove the template connect these lines will be like this. After this we have to add seam allowance. 1 centimeter all around is advisable. This will be the seam allowance all around, then cut. Cut pattern of sleeve placket. This middle line can be used as a green line. Just indicate the arrow mark. It communicates the cutter to cut on the length grain or whatever grain indicated for the garment. Sleeve placket. It to be cut pair or two. Size 38 or M. Cut placket of sleeve. Now moving to make pocket template and pocket cut pattern. So take a drafted pocket pattern and place it on the brown sheet. Place a carbon sheet and ensure the pocket is placed exactly or correctly on the brown sheet. This is the pocket. Here, since it is a straight line, tracing could have can be avoided. So what I do is I use a ruler and trace it because it's a straight line. Trace the center mark, just mark is required. Just you can transfer the stitch lines, that will help you the sewer, garment sewer to follow the stitch lines or measurements. Yeah, traced. It's a traced pattern. While cutting, need to be folded and cut because both the side it should be symmetrical. Otherwise, if you cut unfolded pattern, then there will be a variation of differences. Variations are differences on both sides. Have cut this, then I'll cut here. Pocket is very important because pocket, if measurement differs, then it looks odd. As I told, it should be cut inside the line. Now I'll fold this off, fold carefully and crease this. Fold into half and crease like this. Then cut together. So this will be symmetrical. Now you can mark the stitch lines if it is required. If this pattern somebody used, that will help to understand the stitch lines and measurements. This to be followed if you are looking for quality and accurate garment. You can show this stitch line too. More precise, more informative patterns gives better quality garment. Pocket template. Pocket template. Now I am transferring this template into cut pattern. Take a paper and fold it into half, crease it and place align on the fold, then leave excess towards the top portion of the pocket, then trace the outlines, yeah, then see you can place it here and trace this point and place this here because it's folded when you cut, yeah, then connect these two lines, 2 points, Now this is the traced portion of the fold of the pocket top. It's also called top mouth pocket mouth finish. Now add seam allowance. Here it can be half an inch or 1 centimeter. Half an inch or 1 centimeter. Then cut. Pocket cut. It can be traced even unfold too. This will be grain line and mention pocket into 1. If 2 pocket you can mention 2. Size 38 or M. Pocket cut pattern. Now let us move to make cuff template and cut patterns. Button marking and buttonhole marking. Tracing is completed. Cut 2 sides in the first level. Remember, it should be cut inside the line. Then fold into 2 halves. See, while folding it should be aligned. Then crease it. Since it is on fold, you can staple it. Then cut together. The intention of cutting on fold to make symmetrical on both sides. If you cut on open, it may tend to have differences. Then remove the button. Then its unfold full cuff pattern will be available, which is a template without seam allowance. Emphasize the button hole and button marking. Cuff template. Now this to be transferred to another paper with the seam allowance used for cut cuff parts. Take another piece of brown paper, fold, crease it thoroughly, place the template, align on the fold line, then trace. Then add seam allowance 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter all around. Here it's not mandatory to pin because it's a cut pattern, whereas the sloper pattern, that's a cut pattern, ready pattern, should be pinned for the accuracy. This you can hold tightly, then cut. Then locate grain line and write cuff cut 2 pair or 4 individual part. Size will be 38 or numerical size is M. Cuff cut pattern. Now let us see the separate set of templates and cut patterns. Templates are collar, collar, collar band, cuff template, pocket template, sleeve placket template, cuff template. It's important to mention the part name to avoid confusion. These are the standard templates commonly found when you make shirt patterns: sleeve placket, collar band, collar, cuff and pocket. Now let us see the cut patterns of these templates. These are the cut patterns for the template we made for the shirt: cuff cut pattern, pocket cut pattern, collar cut pattern and collar band cut pattern, then sleeve placket cut pattern. Let us move to the next part of separating of shirt pattern parts. The collar, collar band, cuff, pocket and sleeve placket pattern has been completed. Now moving to the draft of shirt, which comprising of back yoke, that's a shoulder part, front left and right, which can be cut to, and back can be cut on fold. The portion which I am going to trace and separate will be one after another. In this pattern we have yoke here, which has to be separated from the drafted pattern and taken out. Then add seam allowance and cut. Let us first add the seam allowance, then move to separate one after another. Seam allowance in the neckline can be 8 mm. It can be up to 1 centimeter. Most of the time it depends. It can be added using ruler, small ruler. You have to mark along the curve line and turned according to the direction to add the seam allowance. As I told earlier, seam allowance can be decided based on the finish, whereas neckline is a standard, it can be up to 1 centimeter. To add the seam allowance, you can use any other technique you are comfortable with. Then coming to this part, it can be 1 centimeter. Now moving to armhole, 1 centimeter. One centimeter seam allowance given for the overlock finish. If need to be finished with the flat felt seam, it can be different. It's a time consuming process. Once you familiar with that, it will be faster. If you develop the technique, again it will be faster. Need not to worry. Adding seam allowance to be accurate, that's very important to get right measurement. You need to cut with straight curve lines, continuous lines. Yes, you can use French curve. French curve. Coming to side seam, again overlock finish 1 centimeter. See, bottom hemline is a curved tile. Here you need to give 12 mm. There are many techniques to add seam allowance. I am just using which can be beginners practiced. Later on, they can use any technique which they are comfortable. See, this is the seam allowance I have given to the hemline, which is a curved bottom. Then seam allowance to the side seam. Then to the armhole 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter. Then it continues to the shoulder edge, then to the neckline, to the back. Now let us cut the pattern. I repeat this. This line was considered in the beginning of draft as a reference line, which will be now converting into center front line for the front and center back line for the back. This is the line. This is the line. You can see here, just I am passing through. Now the extension given 2 centimeter, which is half of the placket width, 4 centimeter, is this line will be a fold line where the center front fold extension is created. This is the line. Coming to this, this line is a cut line, which is 2 times of extension, that is 2 plus 2 4 plus 1 centimeter, total 5 centimeter, normally given for self-turn placket finish. Self-turn placket finish that continues till the hem line. The front pattern continues till here or ends to this point. Now let us cut the pattern. In this portion I have not cut on the marked point, marked line. This I'll finalize, after align to the front pattern. Need to cut on the seam line. Yes, it can be cut on the line, whereas ready patterns to be cut inside the line. Even during the size set, that is a grading, producing other sizes need to be cut inside the line. Deep curves to be cut carefully, lifting up the paper according to convenient. It can be pushed near a convenient position to you and hold the hand here, then cut as slow as possible. Now moving to tile, that is a bottom. Then moving to the cut line of the center. This portion can be cut later once you trace the back yoke, the seam allowance can be added to this and cut afterwards. So this is the pattern of the basic draft of the shirt, comprising of front, yoke and back pattern. Now let us move to transfer to pattern paper with the yoke part. Let us now transfer the yoke part to the cut pattern of pattern. Remember, this portion I have not cut on the final line, which will be cut later after adjusting any differences arises. Take the piece of paper which can be accommodatable for the yoke portion, then fold and crease. Because the draft is having half portion, this to be cut full. So take the paper, unfold and staple it so that it will be flat. Yeah. Then place the center front line, leaving some space here for the this can be folded other direction also, center front. Beginners, otherwise we can trace it as it is. Can be folded on the center front line. Yeah. Fold made on the center front line and align on the fold up the paper. Then hold it. If you need any support, you can support, otherwise once you familiar with the tracing, it will be traced without any support. Trace from the line of the back yoke seam. See, this is the line back yoke seam. This portion I have not traced final. Then this is the line, can be transferred using ruler. This is the line in the draft. You can just find out in the text part the nomenclature given. This is the line which is measured 10 centimeter from the center back. 10 centimeter from the center back, the yoke seam will be formed. Then transfer the natural shoulder line. This is the line have folded to other side. Folded to other side. This is the point. And taken to the back portion. See, from this to this here, then to the yoke seam line marking, then natural shoulder line, then take out the traced portion. Now set square can be used to draw a perpendicular line. If line is not there, to make clear I'll use a sketch pen, whereas it is advisable to use pencil, HP pencil. Just to indicate, I am using sketch pen. You can make out, this is the line. This is not a final line. I'll show you when I'm finalizing this. This and this. These portions I have already added seam allowance, whereas this yet to be added seam allowance. See, just mark 1 centimeter and draw a line. Then start cutting. You can staple one more pin here because it is on fold. See, this is the yoke part. I can show it with the white background. Yoke part transferred from this portion. See, it's like this. Whereas this portion yet to be finalized, I just kept it for re-blend and cut again. After adjusting, we can cut accurately. So mark seam allowance 1 centimeter here, 1 centimeter. I mean, the throughout hormone is 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter, and here it's 8 mm. This can be drawn later once we finalize this curve. See, this is the curve line, can be drawn using freehand, or you can also use ruler or shaper. The straight lines can be drawn using straight ruler. Then draw a grain line, as I told, which indicates to lay the pattern on the fabric with the length or cross grain. Now write the part name yoke, cut 1 pair or 2, size 38 or M. Once you cut the pattern, now you can use a notch player. In my script I have mentioned tools and their applications. You can just check the application of notch, which is to use to make cut marks like this. Cut marks like this. These marks helps the operator to fold at this level. Use a seam allowance up to this in all levels. This portion, please remember, I have not finalized, that's why I have not made any notches, which can be made later. So with this yoke part is complete. I am moving to now separating the back, which can be traced from the draft to the brown pattern. Now let us transfer the back portion of the shirt. See, as I told, this is a reference line, will be used as a center back line for back, center front line for the front. This is the line. It goes till the bottom. It goes till the bottom. Coming to the top, it goes till the back yoke seam where I have separated the yoke. See, this is the portion we are going to cut for the back. To trace and separate, need a pattern paper with this much width, or you can calculate from center back to the side seam. This is the width plus 3 centimeter, 4 centimeter excess. This is already included seam allowance. Fold the pattern paper because back to be cut full. Fold the pattern thoroughly. Crease it. Since it is on fold, 2 layers, you can pin it so that it won't shift. Now, place the center front center back line and align the line to the fold line as I am showing. See here, this is the fold line to be aligned to the center front line. Fold line in the back pattern, fold line in the back pattern, the pattern supposed to be the final. Align the reference line which I have mentioned when I started drafting. This is the reference line. I told later it will be considered as center back line for the back, center front line for the front. Now let us trace. You can keep some support or you can hold tightly after aligning the center front line to the fold of the paper. Then trace the lines which I am showing on my demo. See, this is the line I have separated the yoke. Then you can keep some weight on this so that it won't shift. Trace here little away from this line and keep move and continue with tracing. And trace the hem line or bottom line which is curved. See, this is the line, and here till the yoke part I have separated earlier. You can also trace the waistline, then remove the trace portion. Now the marking is there. I'll take the set square or then draw a line which is situated at the yoke. This is a yoke seam line. The armhole curve line of the back is traced here, which may not be clear, and the seam line that is side seam may not be visible clearly, but once I cut it may be the clear one. I'll keep the virginal sloper and show you how I have separated. Yeah. As I add seam allowance to the yoke seam, the seam allowance to the yoke seam of back portion also to be added, whereas other portion already added. you need to add 1 centimeter seam allowance to this lines, whereas these parts already added. Now start cut. It's advisable to pin because it's layered. So here, before cutting this is the yoke. This is the yoke portion to be placed on the seam line and checked whether it is aligning or it's matching measurement. Any measurement errors can be adjusted before finalizing. See here, it's if it is 1 mm, 2 mm errors, you can, before cutting you can adjust it. Yeah, then start cutting. This is the back pattern. See, after aligning the yoke, you get complete armhole curve, which I drafted in my basic. Now add seam allowances 1 centimeter. It's already added, just mark seam allowances. And this will be 12 mm already added. What I mean is you need to mark it. So half an inch, that is 12 millimeter. This can be marked with the pencil with a free hand too. Pencil, it is comfortable. 1 centimeter. Then give a green line and write down the part name back into 1, cut 1, size 38 and in numerical sizing M. With this have separated yoke, then back and yoke, which can be joined together after cutting the front portion. Now let's move on to tracing a front part from the body's draft. Now front will be up to this, starting from here, then continues here and moved here, then moved here, then to this, here, then it ends at this point. Place the pattern on the paper. Then trace the line which is 4 centimeter below from the natural shoulder. While drafting the basic pattern, have informed 4 centimeter which is parallel to this, parallel to natural shoulder, taken to back. Since it's shifted to back, now I have to consider to trace only till this point. So draw the line which is drawn 4 centimeter below from the natural shoulder. Then trace the chest line, trace the waistline, of course you can trace other side too, or you can also mark. Now let us trace the neckline using tracing paper. Then trace the front armhole. There are two armhole lines. The line which is less curved is a back armhole. The line which is slightly deeply curved is a front arm hole. You need to just trace on the front arm hole. Remember, I am tracing on the ready arm hole line. Need to add seam allowance, whereas in this draft has a seam allowance. This seam allowance is added to the back arm hole. Now, once I separate, I need to add seam allowance to front arm hole. If I trace here, this is a back arm hole. You can make the difference here. Moving to the center front line, transfer the center front line and fold line. You also need to transfer at bottom level. Now trace the bottom line, the side seam, arm hole which already traced till the front arm hole. This is the level you have to, and half an inch above to this. Neckline already traced, then the cut line which is 5 centimeter from the fold. You also need to trace the buttonhole part and pocket placement part. Just these two marking is sufficient to complete. Buttonhole marking, these are the buttonholes. This is the pocket placement, chest line, waistline and bottom line. Ensure all the lines been traced, then remove the draft pattern. Now lines may not be clear with the pencil. It can be made clear say center front line. Then fold line. To draw complete line, you can use even longer ruler, 2 foot, 3 foot rulers. So it will be drawn at one stretch. Buttonhole marks. Then chest line. Waistline. Then add seam allowance 1 centimeter to the shoulder line. Then add 8 mm seam allowance to the neckline. Now let us cut the pattern. Before cutting, I would like to mark the buttonhole. And pocket placement. Pocket can be also traced. Pocket can be also traced here, placing the sloper pattern. The pattern of the pocket sloper block or template can be placed here, placed and once a button placement is marked, then pocket placement can be also marked using the template of the pocket which made earlier. Place the square on the marking made and place it just perpendicular and trace the pocket. It's just a pocket positioning. Now let us move to cut the pattern. See, this portion I have not cut. I'll cut after finalizing the side seam cutting. As I mentioned, it's a fold line. And this is a center front line. Fold at fold line. This can be creased It can be creased using tool called owl and fold like this. Then cut the front neckline with the seam allowance which I already have marked. See, once you fold and cut, the symmetrizing shape will happen here. This is the portion, this is the extension which will be later on folded inside, which will be folded inside. Yeah. Now coming to armhole, front armhole, I have different front armhole here, which is deeper as I told. Mark 1 centimeter from the traced armhole line. You can use various tools to mark the seam allowance. To make more accurate, you can have different techniques. Just to connect the seam allowance marks. This is the line of back armhole. Now front armhole will be here with the seam allowance. Front armhole, front neckline, side seam, front pattern, completed front pattern. all the details. Now write down the part name with the green line. It's a front part or front pattern to be cut pair left and right front. So to size 38 in numerical, in alphabetical it's a M. Now I have front yoke and back. What I need to do is have to check the alignment of all three parts. How do you check? Let me demonstrate that too. Join the yoke part to the back, uh, placing the seam line on the seam line. See, as I'm demonstrating, you just need to note or observe carefully and pin together. Pin together. Then bring the front, align the center front line on the center back line. Center front line, your back pattern is here. Then center front line and check the alignment of all the perimeter of the pattern. Then alignment of front seam, front side seam and back side seam. Then front armhole and back armhole. Then finally move to, which is a important critical place. Remove the pin. See, here you need to align. Very important and critical line. You need to just crease the natural shoulder line. Crease and fold, then check at armhole and neckline alignments. You remember, I have not cut this portion just to align this to the front yoke. See, this is the line, neckline to be aligned. This is the shoulder part at a armhole to be aligned. So slight millimeter error that can be adjusted by chopping the whatever excess. especially in this method or any other method, there will be 1 millimeter, 1 millimeter differences. This method allows you to adjust even minute differences. Now again I will align this. I will turn the pattern which is exactly aligning and forming the neckline. You can make out this is the neckline of shirt. Shows off. When you open the other side, it will be full. This is the neckline. Neckline you can make out easily of the front and back, and this will be the front armhole and this will be the back armhole, which can be drawn later on. So seam allowance to the neckline 8 mm can be marked here now because I have finalized. Yeah. Now this can be notched together using notch player. The fold line to be notched, the fold line to be notched, side seam with front and back to be notched, which helps operators to follow the seam allowance, and bottom line to be notched. Of course, you need to notch the neckline top on the fold line. The other notches I have made already. Of course, if required more notches, yes, it can be made to align the patterns. With this, I am completing the separation of yoke, back and front. Yoke, back and front, which can be used to stitch garment. Now let us cut the pattern. When moving to the front, we need to cut the portion of this. Then inseam, then sleeve hemline, this to be unfold and cut the front armhole, then add seam allowance to the front armhole, front hemline, This is the curve line of hemline and underarm, then front armhole and back armhole. This will be back sleeve, back and front. Front armhole always be deeper than the back armhole. Now let us transfer this to the pattern paper. Take a paper sheet, unfold, crease it neatly, accurately, so fold is perfect. Then pin, because it's 2 layers. Now trace the paper. Yes, it can be taken unfold. After unfolding, it can be cut according to the shape. Elbow line, bicep line, and here it's a wrist line. Ensure its tracing is done. Now remove the pattern draft and unfold and place it on the fold and align at side seam and trace the front armhole and front hemline. Now we can give the elbow line, bicep line, then start cutting. See, line is not very clear. Once I cut, it's easy to make out the curve shapes. Now it can be removed, unfold, and cut the front armhole. It's a front armhole and back armhole. Coming to sleeve line, add seam allowance, to notch you need to indicate the seam allowance. One centimeter, then here to 1 centimeter, this line can be continued or it can be kept left as it is. Draw grain line and move to the slit marking. Place this on the pattern, cut pattern. Place tracing paper in between and transfer the marking. Your slit can be made 8-9 centimeter, which can be adjusted later. Remember, this should be placed on the back sleeve. Slit and placket made in the back sleeve. There is a difference between front sleeve. As I told, front sleeve armhole is deeper than the back armhole. Same way, in the hemline, back is lower than the front. So coming to the pleat marking. You can always show with the arrow mark so that operator will understand the direction of the pleat. First pleat and second pleat. Then write the pattern name, sleeve to be cut pair, that's 2, size is 38 and numerical alphabetical size is M. Now use notch player to mark the cuts. Use these are the notch marks to indicate pleats, and this is the notch for the center of the sleeve. Yes, we can also give the balancing notch in between. In this case it is not mandatory or it is not required because the ease in the sleeve armhole is not much. It's 1.5 centimeter more than the body armhole, so need not to mark the balancing notches. Coming to the sleeve cuff that can be attached while making the sleeve portion, making the cuff portion after forming the pleats. With this, the sleeve transformation is complete. Let us transfer the short sleeve pattern to brown pattern, which is separating the short sleeve pattern from the long sleeve pattern, for which you need to take a brown paper with the maximum width which is there in the bicep and crease it thoroughly. Now deriving the short sleeve from the long sleeve draft, for which you need to take a paper on fold. The fold width should be equivalent to bicep with seam allowance. Take paper on fold and crease thoroughly. And since it is a 2 layer, staple the layers so that it won't shift. Then place the long sleeve pattern drafted already. Ensure the sufficient amount of paper is provided underneath. Then also ensure the lines are clear. To trace, as earlier we used a tracing paper, you can place in between the brown paper and white paper Then with the help of tracing wheel, run as slow as possible on the seam line. Trace the maximum line, then shift the tracing paper to the hem line. Ensure it is placed properly. Then trace the fold line, hem width line, then first fold which is for the finished edge, then crease the underarm, then crease the extreme points. Ensure all the lines been transferred. Then remove the draft pattern and tracing paper. Then using set square, you can draw or connect all the marks. It's advisable to use set square because you get perfect right angle. Then ensure the staple is pinned inside the traced portion. Then cut the outer lines. Remember, the armhole should be cut from the back armhole. Now you got the short sleeve, which should be mark the front armhole, then indicate the seam allowance for the sewing references. Now unfold this, then place the draft on other side to transfer the front armhole. ensure it's placed on crease line. Since I have cut through the back arm hole, I need to cut front arm hole which is deeper than the back arm hole, which can be again traced from the basic draft by placing on the crease. Ensure placing is placed exactly on the creased line. Then trace, place the tracing paper and trace the front arm hole. Tracing to be done as slow as possible because it's tend to off the curve line. Then remove. After removing, unfold, then cut the front arm hole. So now you got the front arm hole and back arm hole, which can be now marked seam allowances. Now you have a complete short sleeve, which also shown the grain line and part name sleeve into 2 size M. So with this separation of short sleeve is completed, it's derived from the long sleeve draft. Conclusion: you have come to the end of this unit. To summarize, in this unit, you have learned how to separate the patterns from the master draft. In the next unit, you will learn the technique of separation of trouser draft.